Listen, Russ called himself the best rebounding guard in NBA history. And I'm sorry to say it, like it's between him and what, Oscar Robertson. You got him, Jason Kidd, Russell Westbrook. I think that's about it. Probably some more I'm just forgetting. But those are like the top three, right? And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like Russ probably is the best rebounding guard ever, point guard ever, in my mind. I mean, the only other person I'll say is between him and Oscar Robertson, to me personally. And yeah, I mean, respect, dude, man. I get when people be like, I get we get to troll a bit and say that, oh yeah, Russ was stat padding, right? But especially on his time in OKC, and maybe that is true to an extent where they were stat padding for some rebounds. I'm not gonna lie, there's some rebounds that even today that he be getting where I'm like, dog, like this guy's just a competitor. Like this guy be snagging sometimes. You feel me? So he's definitely like top two, if not the best rebounding guard of all time. One of the greatest playmakers we've ever seen in our lives, in NBA history, honestly. He is. Now, am I saying top five? No, but definitely like top 10. Top 10, top 15 playmaker of all time. I guess we can go with that. And then if we're going to talk about like, I don't get into the whole, that scoring, playmaking crap. I'm mainly talking about like passing and being a point guard, right? I just don't feel like getting those conversations. He's up there. And, especially in his time in OKC, he had a time where he had a scoring title. It's like 25 a game, 24 a game. When we look at Russ and who he is as a player for his career and where he ranks all time, I mean, there's really not a lot of guys over him when it comes to the top 10. So for me, you got Steph. I guess we'll go Magic, Chris Paul, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, right? But even then, like, you could have an argument between him and Steve Nash. You feel me? You could probably even have an argument between him and Jason Kidd, if I'm going to be honest with you. If we're going to go Isaiah Thomas, like from the Pistons, I'm not going to lie. Like the more I look into him or watch Isaiah Thomas, the more I feel as if he's just a bit overrated. And I don't think he's a lock. I don't think Isaiah Thomas is a lock top 3-point guard of all time. I don't even think he's a lock top 5-point guard of all time. Like I get he won 2 rings with the Detroit Pistons, but just because he was able to win, which if you look back at the Detroit Pistons at that time was a heavily stacked roster. Like it was insane. I just don't automatically say that he's better than those guys, especially if you look at Jason Kidd, you look at Steve Nash, even Russell Westbrook. They both provide great value and similar, and if not more values than Isaiah Thomas. Jason Kidd, you have the defense that he provides. I think Jason Kidd is a better passer, right? He's versatile all across the board, right? Bigger body. So I think Isaiah Thomas definitely has some clutch moments, without a doubt. But he was definitely an inefficient scorer. He wasn't – people don't even talk about that like much. He was definitely – he was a puller. Like he used to be pulling, and it was definitely a lot of hit and miss, similar to Russell Westbrook. Like Russell Westbrook and Isaiah Thomas, and then we could even go with Allen Iverson to an extent. Yeah, they were all like inefficient. They weren't that efficient at all, if I'm going to be honest. So Isaiah Thomas isn't like this crazy elite, effective, efficient scorer like all these other guys, like a Stephen Curry or Steve Nash, right? So if he's not that great of a scorer, him being a point guard or a passer, playmaker isn't on this. He's not even a better like point guard, passer, playmaker than Chris Paul. You feel me? So if his offense isn't on this high of a level, his defense is like right here. Then when we talk about him versus a guy like Russell Westbrook, yeah, Russ definitely can't have the conversation to being better than him, without a doubt in my mind. You got the athleticism, the bigger body of Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook's a better defender than him. And the way they played basketball back in the 80s is actually perfect for Russell Westbrook. He would actually go crazy in the 80s, same way that he was going crazy in the late 2010s. And if we're going to do statistics, I mean, he led the league in assists more. I don't even want to get into that. I don't like those conversations. But, yeah, Russ definitely can have an argument to be over Isaiah Thomas. A lot of people do. A lot of people do. So Russ, so now we got Isaiah Thomas realm. We got Gary Payton. Then after that, and I could be missing somebody. You can let me know in the comment section if I'm missing anybody, right? So Russ is definitely in that realm of point guard. He's in that realm of PGs of like where he's ranking all time. And in my opinion, right, if somebody's ever in that realm of point guard, you know, your Jason Kidds, your Steve Nash, your Isaiah Thomas's, your I guess you could go John Stockton's. Like, why does he get so much hate for who he is more than everyone else? It doesn't make sense to me. John Stockton, for example. I think John Stockton is a great example. Like, John Stockton played in the league for so long, right? The Utah Jazz consistently, and when I say consistently, like, it was like as a record repeat of underperforming and underperforming in the postseason year after year after year. It was, and John Stockton was a part of that, and his flaws as a player was a part of that too. So why is it that a guy in John Stockton doesn't get as much hate as a guy like Russell Westbrook? Where Russell Westbrook gets completely crucified and criticized for his game time and time again. When majority of the time, like, he didn't even have the teams the same way John Stockton had. You feel me? I just don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense how Russ gets so overhated over all these other players that can get hated for different reasons, but a lot of the time everyone just gets hated for failing, right? A lot of people just get hated because they failed as a player in their mind. Like, you didn't win a championship, you didn't, go to a lot of finals and stuff. They get hated over a lot of that, right? So just because those things didn't happen, I don't believe that caused for a player to be hated as much as Russell Westbrook gets hated for. I think that's just disingenuous. And that's not fair to some of these guys. Because at the end of the day, especially when you're playing in leagues with Michael Jordans, playing leagues with Kobe Bryant's and Shaq's, playing league with LeBron James's, I mean, dog, there's only one winner in year in year out basis. Like, there's only one winner. And you're competing against those guys, and Russ is great. Russ ain't no LeBron, though, bro. Russ ain't even a KD, man. You feel me? So it's like, Russ ain't a Steph. So I'm like, come on, dog. Russ over Kyrie Irving. That's annoying. I would say yes. Russ would have to be over Kyrie Irving, mainly because Kyrie Irving hasn't had, like, Kyrie Irving, what hurts him a lot in these cases is really the injury thing, right? Kyrie has had the track record often enough to where we can put him in some conversations, honestly, because of injury. Like, there's not a lot of postseasons we've had of him where we can be like, okay, this is where he is as a player. Now, if we're talking about talent and everything, man, if we're talking about talent and skills as a player, I mean, I believe Kyrie's just as skilled as anybody. You feel me? Like, he's just as good as anybody, especially in the point guard realm. I think I still might have to go with Russ, though. I think I still might have to go with Russ. Now, if we talking about Kyrie next to, like, as a co-star, if we talking about Kyrie as a guy with, like, a KD, with a LeBron, with an MJ, with a Kobe next to him, I'm picking Kyrie over him every single time. Because I think Kyrie's game is just easier for him to play next to players, not Russ. But we're talking about the guy leading my crew. Russ is going to deliver my team wins. I know that for a fact. I just know that for a fact. And I know he's going to be a key part in delivering those wins for our crew. You feel me? So I might have to go with Russ over that. But I mean, that's a good conversation to me. Russ versus Kyrie Irving, I think that's a great conversation to have. Right? Warren, let's be real. Russ is a low-efficient, high-turnover machine who is known for stat padding. Great player, though, but his game didn't age well. Yeah, so whenever a player is highly athletic, and really the only exception is like LeBron James. This guy is insane. But even LeBron adjusted his game to be more of a skilled player, right? But whenever you have players that are highly athletic and they play with that athleticism throughout, especially the peak and prime of their careers, no, their game isn't going to age well. It's just not. Because as you lose that athleticism, the more and more, your impact as a player will go down, right? Naturally, that just happens, right? That's a lot of times, let's say running backs, right? For example, that's right. Running backs, for example, always have kind of a short career, right? Especially nowadays, mainly because it's a lot of just leaning on that athleticism. When the athleticism is going, the impact is going to, So Russ also is the same kind of actually Russ is the running back for the NBA. That dude is insane. He's always running and always going, right? So Russ being the running back of the NBA, it's almost the same exact thing where his game isn't gonna translate well, especially in his older ages. But even at this stage of his career now, he's still able to that spark plug off the bench is actually amazing for Cruz. Like having your main guys sit out and then you still having a guy who can stay here, still pick up the pace, create plays for your crew, and be able to compete. It's a double-edged sword because of that hyperness. Yeah, there can be a lot at times low efficient offense because of that, because he's going too much, he's doing too much. But at the same time, having that is also beneficial because now your team doesn't lose a beat. They really don't lose that pace. They're still able to continue to go, right? So it's a double-edged sword. It's annoying, but that's what it is. And I think it's good to have. And high turnover machine, yeah. Any player that handles the ball a lot, pushing the pace and trying to generate offense, they're definitely going to be, a high turnover player. Like